everybody, it's Safi and Marco, dish out on the movies. And tonight we are doing the recap review commentary on the latest episode of Better Call Saul, Season 6, Episode 6, Axe and Grind. Well, I would call this episode, well, really, even that. The whole thing was a setup to something big, and not just one big thing, but a few big things that are going to happen. So basically, we're kind of left sitting in the dark. And I guess there was a couple. I did learn, and I don't know if Marco wants me to get into it, but one big thing I learned, I won't really say the definition or go into it, I'll just say the generality is Howard's private life. Well, we got to see where he lived, got to see what his house was like, and it wasn't a house, it was a mansion. It was beautiful.
Yeah, like he has a similar mansion to what Saul had, so it's strange how, like, they kind of turned Saul's mansion into, like, a joke of, like, oh, of course, he's a douchebag rich person, so he had all these things that a rich person would have. But then you look at Howard's mansion, and it looks, to me, I thought, like, it looked like it could almost be the same set. So, it's just interesting how you have a similar location and they film it differently to according to their slanted point of views.
And we did get to find out that he's a little bit of a compulsive cleaner, which I found interesting and probably not surprising because he made himself, I think he was making a cappuccino.
Well, he had to do something to make up for the lack of story.
Yeah, I guess so. And so that was another thing. That's specific, but I don't think I'm giving a lot away if we know that Howard can make a perfect cappuccino and clean it all up in 2 seconds because he's a neat freak, which is fine. The house is just beautiful, though. I can't even get over it. I guess the third thing we found out about Howard, and I mean, is his personal life is like nothing. It's like pathetic. He really has a pathetic life.
His wife looks like...
I don't care about looks.
She looks like a model, like a really disinterested model who, you know, like she just looks like a she looks like a Karen.
I don't know.
She looks like she could be the star of Amityville Karen.
Oh my God. The thing is, I guess I can just, am I really going to reveal a lot by saying they just don't have any relationship at all? And if it is, it's kind of like a business relationship.
Yeah, it's really creepy.
Yeah, and he made her this perfect cappuccino, and I think he was hoping she would. Well, first of all, it looked like he was all by himself, and he made this perfect cappuccino. I mean, perfect. And she comes in, and so, oh, that's his wife. I've never seen her. Maybe has she been on? I don't know. But she shows up, and like, oh, he is married. I think we knew that somehow from last week or something where he talked about their relationship.
No, that was episode 4 where he talked to his therapist.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And he gives her this perfect cappuccino. I think he was expecting her to say something, and she didn't even act like she cared.
She didn't care at all.
She took it for granted.
She spilled on the counter.
Yeah, and so he cleaned up after her after she left because he's such a neat freak. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So that's I know that's probably like, but
well, that's pretty much the only thing Safi thinks that there is in this episode that's of substance.
Well, there's things that, well, I'm really, probably you could spend 10 minutes and say what happened. I guess the thing, Lalo was in it again. Is maybe
Oh,
Lalo
really?
going to be in the rest of the season, like every episode from now on? And what is his objective? I mean, he's a really good, like, detective. And he's like, I compare him, I just told Marco, he's the smiling Terminator. And he just rolls over everybody and everything until he finds out what he wants to know. He's really persistent. And
Unfortunately, I don't think that he's smarter than Mike.
I
And
don't think he's.
I think that if Mike wasn't there in the future, whatever happens, I think that Mike is the key. Because if you think about when they did that whole assassination plot, Mike was adamant about the plan, being paranoid about the plan working or not, and he had a feeling that it could screw up pretty easily. And you know, when Gus did that, you know, he didn't use Mike to help him plan that out really at all. And so Mike is like the key variable that we haven't really seen come into play when it comes to fighting
Lalo.
against Lalo yet. And so I think in this final episode that for the for the first half of the shitty season, I think that Mike is going to really be the standout character of the episode, possibly, because he talked about that street, and he talked about how he wants the guys to stay on a certain street, and I think that the street is going to be where Lalo shows up, and he's going to be right, and that's going to be like the turning point, is that Gus knows, okay, I can really trust Mike, and he deserves a lot more, and that will be like, I don't know, because like, but you just think about that, like, you know, what else could happen? Like, is Mike really gonna screw up in the story? No,
No, because he'll be dead if he did.
He'd be
he's
dead.
not going to be dead.
And this is a prequel, and we know that he's best friends with Gus in Breaking Bad. So basically, we know exactly how this is going to go. We just don't know how it's going to go leading up to it. So that's what I think about that. We were talking about Lalo. Well, let's just talk about the episode first. I mean, did you like the episode, Safi? Did you?
It was, like I said, if you really wanted to, like, when I watched it, there were so many commercials, it was like, instead of the episode, it was just the commercials. I mean, it was like a whole ton of commercials, but I think you could probably sum up everything that really actually happened in about 5 to 10 minutes. I don't even know if that long. And the rest of it was superfluous and commercials. So I don't think it's very good. Because really, it was almost like, I mean, I don't think I'm the only one, whether I've had good things or bad things to say about the whole season. I think everybody, is expecting something to happen, and maybe more often than when it is happening. And I think people would have expected more than what happened to have happened tonight. And so when you can sum it up, or you can even actually show it for like 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 7, that's pretty bad. So that means there's not much there. And what are we watching? I mean, you're sitting there scratching your head going, what did I just watch? Was that, and when it was over, I was like, is that it? Because I thought something was going to happen. I thought it couldn't be, time couldn't be up And then I'm thinking, well, it was mostly commercials, so
Like, remember in season 3 when something happened every episode?
well, I mean, the another significant thing that happened was they showed, and they did this another time, which I'm kind of glad they did it because I thought it was interesting because it revealed she's the one, and I have a bad feeling too. But then, she's not going to be around for the next part for Breaking Bad, so I don't know. But anyway, they showed her as a little girl again. And
Well, I'm going to just talk about the episode because you're just kind of rambling.
Well, go ahead. I just don't know what to say about it. There's just nothing that happened.
Well, then just say that so
Okay.
that I can say about the episode.
Go ahead.
Because this is another bad episode. Clearly, I mean, you have 3 episodes. Oh, I mean, technically 4, since the nacho one was the worst thing I've ever seen, or one of the worst things I've ever seen. And these 3 episodes following that have just been a complete face palm. Like, you think about what would it be like to slip on a banana peel like 3 times in a row, and you think about, maybe I shouldn't walk over the banana peel a 4th time. Oh, maybe I will because I'm the writers of Better Call Saul.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's like. Like, in the 3rd episode, I expected something to happen. In the 4th episode, I expected something to happen. Well, I mean, the 3rd one was the nacho one. The 4th and the 5th one, I mean, and now the 6th episode, I expected something to happen. And nothing happened. I mean, this was just a big waste of time. I mean, how do I even, because there's just like, this episode was really like a trailer. Like, all this was a trailer of scenes where they like show these little objects and things, and they're like, ooh, this is really important. This is really important. It's just building up to whatever they're going to do in the next episode, essentially. And that's why this episode is bad, just like the past 2 episodes have been bad as well, is because you can tell that these writers don't have a good story. Remember when I was talking in season 5 finale review about how, okay, what story is there? What stories are they going to tell that are going to be so amazing in season 6? Well, you have the Nacho storyline, and and that was a big joke because they just rushed that to an end in the 3rd episode, and then you have the Lalo story, which is him going around Europe, taking like a Euro trip to investigate, while Gus walks around being worried all day long.
And pruning and pressing himself.
And then you have Jimmy and Kim, and they're plotting against Howard.
Which is so dumb. I just can't stand it.
And we don't even really know their plot. They kind of keep it secret so that it can be a big surprise. And so we have these 3 storylines. One of them is taken out of the picture. So we only have 2 storylines going on, and both of them suck. I mean, both of them just straight up suck. Like, I'm sorry, but there's nothing interesting about these storylines and the way that they're written, especially this episode. The story structure is terrible, and that's why all these people on IMDb are finally waking up and saying, no, I didn't like this episode. I didn't like this episode. And it's like you can tell they're being honest because they've liked the show up to this point. But now, when it's just right out in the open how bad this is, it's there's no denying it. Like, it just gets to a point like with The Walking Dead, where that's on its like what 11th season, and it gets to a point where you can't deny that the quality is off. And you can't deny that the writing is not as good as it was before, back when I don't know what the change was, and that's really the another big issue is that I don't know what changed with this series, because in seasons 1, 2, and 3, stuff happened every episode. They didn't keep people in the dark for the most part. There were a couple of sequences where they would keep people in the dark for an episode, like with season 2 at the end. They had the scene with Jimmy and his brother, and we think, oh, this scene is going quite nicely, and then at the end it's revealed he's tape recording it so that he can submit it and destroy Jimmy. And so that's just one little sequence, and it was a good surprise. And then you have something like in season 3 when Jimmy pulls off the cell phone thing, where we don't know exactly what's going on, and then it's all revealed in the actual trial. And there's another example. But when you have something like this, where they have this intricate plot to screw Howard, and we don't even know what the plot is, we don't even know what's gone wrong, we don't even know what the deal is or anything, because it's all being saved for this last episode, as if a good story structure is to hold information from the audience and then basically just throw it in your face like a pie in the face in the final episode. Like, that's just terrible storytelling, and it breaks the key rule of suspense, because the key rule of suspense is you tell the audience all the information from the beginning. And with this Howard and Kim storyline, we haven't been told anything, basically. We've been given pictures, suggestions, little scenes. We've been given little queer lines of dialogue like, Jimmy, I think D-Day is coming. That's what we get. That's the story. Wow. So interesting. I'm glad that I continued watching the series after season 5. When I said it was trash.
I almost thought about not watching it anymore.
Well, you had a different reason. You were like, oh no, it's getting really dark. I don't want to see anything bad to happen to Howard. That's what you were like in the season 5 finale.
Oh, well, right now I'm just like...
When she did the finger guns.
I'm kind of done with it.
Huh?
I said...
You're done watching?
I said I'm tempted to stop watching it.
Well, wake up, Safi. Come on.
No, I really just don't... I think it's kind of irritating.
Well, we have to talk about the scene where the guy pees in the trash can. Okay, what were you saying?
What?
The scene where... Oh, that brilliant scene where Francesca, what did he call her in Breaking Bad? Honey breasts. She was so excited about the decorating that she did in his office, and then one of his clients is pissing in a trash can. And Jimmy's like, oh, no, stop it. Oh, no, wait, no, go back in the can. Francesca, come clean this up. Ah! That was such great writing. And see, Safi, that's what the show originally was supposed to be from the very beginning.
Yeah.
They were going to have 2 entire seasons of people pissing in trash cans while Jimmy holds them and makes them go in the trash can, and then Francesca glares at him. Like, that's what the series was supposed to be before they woke up to the story potential. But what were you saying, Safi?
I don't know. I'm just tired.
Wake up.
It really irritates me.
Say more things about how it sucks.
Well, the whole thing was a setup. I'm thinking more about Lalo, and I just don't know what his objective is. I really don't.
Well, I guess he wants to find out what Gus is building.
Well, I know that, and he's very determined. But why? Not why. So then what? Then what?
Well,
he finds out, and then what? What's he going to do with that information? He's going to...
He said on the phone he needed evidence of some kind.
For whom?
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm
not the writer.
I am not...
I'm not the writer.
I don't doubt that he will find out whatever he wants to know, because he is like the Terminator with a smile on his face. And he talks. And he is ruthless, and he has a mean streak where he'll just kill you after he gets the information. It's almost a shock he didn't kill that lady last week.
I wish he would kill the show.
Well,
and so that they could start
basically.
over. So they could start over
anyway,
from scratch.
Even if he, like I said, I have no doubt that he will find out what he wants to find out. Then what? Then what? That's what I mean. That's what this whole episode was like. You're going to do whatever, and then what? They're going to screw Howard over. We don't know how. We know they want to. Mainly because of Kim, not because of him.
Yeah, that's why it's funny how all these people, they all the time, basically you have two camps. One camp completely blames Kim, and one camp completely blames Jimmy.
No, but it was her idea.
It doesn't matter.
There's
all these people who say that Jimmy corrupted the innocent mind of Kim.
No. That's what these little vignettes at the very beginning of the episodes, when they show her as a little girl and you see how she was brought up, that's what those are for, to show that she's not so innocent.
Well, it's also, it's reminiscent of when people say that, when they defend the Manson Girls, and they say, Charles Manson just corrupted their minds.
No, he didn't.
They're innocent little minds.
No.
That's like they made a movie about that too. They're like, oh, these were just poor innocent girls, and then Charles Manson told them to do what they did, and he brainwashed them. And it's like, no, they're evil bitches.
Yeah, they are.
And
they got what they deserve.
And in this scenario, she's not an evil bitch, but she is pretty evil.
Well, she's not sweet and innocent.
Yeah.
She has a past.
In my opinion, they're sort of trying to have this difference between the two of them, where you have him, and on the outset, he kind of looks like he's the bad guy all the time. Even when he was a kid, when Chuck thought that he was stealing out of the cash register and everything, and he's always kind of appeared like the bad person, but he does a lot of good things, and he has good intentions. And then you have Kim, and she looks really good on the outside, but she's the one who's the real bad one.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Like, not completely, but she did finger guns, and so that symbolizes that she is pure evil.
Yeah. I
Instead
don't know about that.
Instead of the carrot and the stick, it should have been the carrot and the finger gun. You want the carrot or the finger gun? Well, I bet. Oh, okay, I won't go there.
Oh,
well, Safi, wake up. Don't you want to hear about the episode? Because
come
here's
on,
the thing.
Then. Let's move it along.
I haven't even said what I thought of the episode.
I want to hear what you thought of it.
Oh, I thought it was trash.
Okay, gee whiz. That's a big surprise.
Well, the reason why is because this felt like an episode out of season 4. Like this is pretty much the past episodes this season. They've kind of felt like season 5. They haven't been the worst thing in the world, although the nacho thing was. But they were pretty bad. but they felt like season 5, and season 5 was an improvement on the worst season of TV of all time, season 4, or one of the worst seasons of all time. And this episode, though, you start off and you have this flashback with Kim as a child,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called Better Call Saul, and we have a flashback with Kim as a child. Pretty weird.
Yeah, well, we've had a few of those, and I wondered if they were going to do any more. Well, they did, because I think we're pointing to the fact that she's the main instigator of this thing against Howard, and really that it was a little inexplicable. I don't understand what the problem is.
It's irritating because that opening scene was okay. I thought it was good. I thought that the opening scene was the best part of the episode because it was well acted and it was just a good sequence. But this is Better Call Saul, and I really wish that they would have another flashback for Jimmy, at least, to balance things out. Because I don't understand why, in the final season of Better Call Saul, that Kim would be the one getting a flashback as a child. Unless she's gonna die.
Oh.
Like, maybe that's the reason. Like, oh, it's because she's gonna die soon, so we have to make everybody get ready for their feelings to get hurt by these masterful Shakespearean storytellers. But this episode, it just completely felt like season 4. You had a lot of references to season 4. The whole thing with Lalo meeting up with, I guess, Kai, whatever that guy is, the random German guy who worked for Gus to build the lab.
Mm-hmm.
That whole sequence was just straight up calling back to season 4. Whereas the sequence in the last episode didn't really feel like a callback to season 4, but this did. And just the whole episode, I got a total season 4 vibe. Everything about the episode, you had all this stuff with Kim, all this stuff with, Howard. He referenced the bowling ball thing.
Yeah.
That was from season
that
4. Another callback to season 4. And just, I hated this episode. There's really nothing good about this episode except for the opening scene. And I guess, let's see, because there was a lot of, as I said, the majority of this episode is a snippet of images that are supposed to be meaningful at some point. Like, they're little props that will get used in some way, like they're little references. Like, even in the opening scene, they had that license plate on Kim's mom's car, and it says Nebraska on it. Nebraska, the state where Saul ends up after Breaking Bad. So It's like all these stupid little references, like, ooh, I wonder if that's going to come into play in this masterful story that I'm telling. Safi, wake up!
I'm sorry, I'm just so tired. Well, anyway, everything you're saying is right. It's just ridiculous.
I know.
And I don't know about the season 4 thing, but
really, you didn't
here
feel
we
like
are.
this
We're coming to the end.
This was like season 4 part 2.
It's almost like they're riding a stationary bike, and they're just riding in place. And I mean, every episode it should kind of move forward. It's not really. I don't know. The good thing is we got to see another Kim as a kid, and that was strange moment. And then we got to see Lalo and what he's up to, but to what end? I don't know. That's the mystery. And more than likely he's going to end up dead.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And I think, like you said, I think Mike will be the one to get him.
Yeah, because Mike is smarter than Gus, I guess, which In Breaking Bad, I thought they were pretty equal, but I guess they're really not. So,
Oh, no. But, I mean, I don't even know if, you know, he goes out and meets up with that German guy, and after they had a little tussle, the guy says, well, who are you? And he tells him, even if he did tell him, which he did, how would he know who he is and what he's about? Because what's his name? Gus's last name is not his name, it's something else. So, I mean, it's not going to mean anything to that guy. He doesn't even know who he is. So, if he did, how would he know that? They weren't working together, Gus and the soap guy. So, I don't know. Go ahead. Come on, Marco. Let's move it along.
I mean, essentially, what this is all building up to is some little action sequence with Lalo, and then some little court disaster with Jimmy. And to me, I think that kind of sounds like a big flop. Like, I think that sounds like a big
boy,
waste of time. Like, even the finale is going to be a waste of time, in my opinion. Like, these storylines really aren't anything special, which is exactly what I said in the season 5 finale review. And so that's really what we're seeing here, is we're seeing all of the things that I've said come true, and all of the things that I've said been proven right with these episodes. And they've even been proven right in ways that I didn't expect, like the way that they just completely wasted Nacho, ruined his character, ruined his storyline, and forever ruined the entire show because of that stupid story decision. They didn't have to do that, regardless of all the fanboys excuse making that goes on. Oh, they had to do it. Like, these are the types of people. Like, if they had Kim get raped in an episode, the fanboys would be like, they had to do it. She had to get assaulted in an episode. Or like maybe if Jimmy suddenly got swapped with, like, I don't know, Don Cheadle. Like, what if John Cheadle had to play Saul from... Well, the fanboys would say, they had to do that. Didn't you know? That was the only option there was. They had to cast John Cheadle to play Saul. That's what they would say. Because they...
probably.
I don't care. I mean, at the end of the day, like, this episode is just really boring, mediocre, dull, and uneventful, and it totally is not worthy of being the final season of Saul. Like, that's another thing. It's the same thing with Hell on Wheels, where Hell on Wheels is another show where they rushed it to an end at a season 5-ish, around that area. They split it in half, so technically it was 6 seasons, and in that season it really did not feel worthy of being a final season. It just felt like a big anticlimactic waste of time. And then in the final season they did the same type of thing with Nacho, where they killed off a major villain in like the first episode. And it was so anticlimactic and shitty. And I feel like, since it's the same network, AMC, it's really weird to me. Like, what do you think of that, Safi? Because I am getting, also with Season 4, Better Call Saul Season 4, I am also getting Hell on Wheels vibes. The way that shitty show ended. Because it had 4 mixed to good seasons, and then the last season was a huge piece of shit, and it was I'm still upset about Hell on Wheels, and I'll never forgive the people who made Hell on Wheels and how they, well, okay, that's a separate issue.
Yeah.
Because they had this huge plot hole, and people noticed the plot hole since season 2, and then they never even addressed it. But that's a different issue, because at least these writers, they do address all the things that could be plot holes. So, but it's just weird how it's the same network, and you see all the same issues in this final season. And so why is that, Safi?
I don't know.
Why is that?
To be boring and repetitive.
Yeah. Like you.
Whatever. I hope we can wrap it up soon, because I don't know what else we're going to say about it. Nothing happened.
Well,
Basically, it was a setup episode. We're setting up Lalo with this guy because we're setting him up to find out what Gus was doing. What Gus was up to when he hired all those Germans. What did they do for him? So Lalo finds out. And then what? Right? Maybe I should call this the Then What episode.
the then what?
The Then What.
Oh.
In fact, maybe that should be the title.
That should be the title
Then
of the
what?
season. The Then What season.
And then, Kim and Jimmy, they do what they're going to do with Howard. And then what? I mean, that's a pretty big then what.
Then what?
And what's going to happen? And was it worth it? I mean, Kim is giving up. She has this interview, and one of her old bosses saw her in court defending this boy who was basically discriminated against with him being stopped. It was kind of whatever those stops are called when it's I don't know, it's a negative thing. And she was really good. She was very masterful. She did an excellent job. And anyway, he tells her all about this project, and so he's told her to come there while they're doing this project.
And she's got an offer of a lifetime. That's what you said.
Yeah, whatever. It could be an offer of a lifetime.
Oh, that's a good point, Safi, because, the selfish, audacious Saul, what's he have to say about Kim?
Well, he was supportive and all for it.
He wanted her to go to the interview? You mean he wasn't selfish and audacious enough to say, like, you're staying here? Yeah. Oh, I guess he's not really selfish and audacious after all. Is he?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought. See, that's what I mean. It seems like there's different interpretations of a story that really isn't that complex. And overall, I would just say that this episode, I would give it, it's hard to even grade it because I did like a couple little minor details. I thought that it was well directed. It was directed by Gus. Safi.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And I thought that you could tell...
They're all getting a chance to do their own episode.
I hope so. And you could tell that he has his own distinct directing style. And so I thought that is something to applaud, is that, there was a new style of directing on the show. And it felt different than the way Kim directed that episode. And certainly both of these actors, they did a better job than whoever directed last episode. The episode that Safi didn't even review because she was asleep. Safi?
What?
What'd you think of last episode? I mean, why don't you just make up for that and just tell the audience, like, why you didn't like last episode?
I don't know, Marco. I just want to pay attention to this one. I think we should be wrapping it up.
You never reviewed it, though.
Oh, my God.
Remember? You never reviewed it?
No, I don't remember that.
Okay. Well, that's what happened.
Okay.
I give this episode a D minus. You know, I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of because honestly, I could give the show a B minus, but why? Why should I inflate my grade and say like, yeah, I liked all these little things, but you know, I'm waiting for whatever's gonna happen. Like, no, screw that. I'm just gonna give it a D minus because that's what it really is a standalone episode. It's trash. It doesn't hold a candle to any of the episodes of the first 3 seasons.
No.
None of the episodes from this season do at all. And the last thing that I have to say before Safi gives her letter grade is the thing with Howard, too little, too late. Okay?
I know. Why couldn't they have done that earlier in the episode?
You mean earlier in the series?
Or even in the season? Because we didn't know anything about him, really. We only saw him in his work persona.
Well, technically, we did see the outside of the mansion when Jimmy did the stupid bowling ball thing in season 4.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that stupid ass shit?
But I was really focused more on the bowling ball and thinking, like, what's he going to do with those bowling balls?
Oh, he's just going to do some random shit so that they can fill time. It's like, thinking about season 4 is like, thinking about, like, the garbage in the garbage can. But that scene, it was too little, too late. And what if I talked about that's been a running theme with a lot of shows last year with the finales? What's a running issue, Safi?
I don't know, Marco. I'm tired. The running theme is nothing much is happening.
No, that's not the running
theme. And there's no end.
That's not the running theme of the running
no
issue.
end in sight.
No, wrong. Incorrect. The running issue was the lack of foundation, which I talked about. There were a lot of bad finales last year. They were terrible. They were rushed. They were short. They were insignificant garbage. And part of the reason was they had a lack of foundation. And what that means is basically the opposite of what they're doing here with all these storylines, where they didn't have any foundation for the characters or any of the stories. And so then in the finales, you're just all of a sudden supposed to care. Like, they had these characters in American Horror Story, and they're probably some of the most despicable, obnoxious characters you've ever seen in television. And I just wanted them all to die on the show. Like, I wanted aliens to kill them. I didn't care about them at all. And then you're all of a sudden supposed to care about them because they're the main characters. So, wah, wah, wah. And guess what? That's not how that works. And that's exactly what they're doing with Howard. They're like, oh, look, he has a wife. He has a sad life at home. Wah, wah, wah.
Very pathetic.
Not good foundation. So, Safi?
It's kind of surprising, too, I guess, but
Really?
maybe not, because sometimes people look like they're having the perfect, charmed life. He has all this money.
But when did that ever happen? He had all that downfall with season 4 and 5 where he was, like, crying in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So he's never really had that at all.
So, really, it looks... there's so much badness about it. It's not even funny.
No foundation, though.
Very pathetic.
Poor foundation laid.
I just give it a D.
Really?
Yeah, I give it a D for dumb. Because it just, I don't understand. Howard's just leading a pathetic life, so there's nothing more you can say about that. And it's his problem if he wants to continue to live like that. And he has a pretend life where it looks like he has this beautiful house. He wears perfect clothes. He's a neat freak. he has a really good business. I mean, that they showed their offices. They were eating they were having wine in front of Saul and Kim were having wine like in the evening, like it was
Oh yeah,
dark,
they're having a romantic picnic.
in front of the offices of uh, Howard, and it's like a magnificent building. It's like all lit up at the top, and it has
Really?
their names up there, and
Really? Wow.
and it's all a facade. And then the thing with Lalo is just like I said, and juxtapose that with juxtapose with Kim and Saul and what they're doing with Howard, and you're asking the question, then what? You do what you're going to do. Lalo's going to find out what he wants to know. Then what? What's his objective? So he gets this information, and then what? He tells on Gus to the rest of the cartel community, and they have a little meeting, and they all want to get rid of Gus. And then what? I mean, it's just dumb. And then for Kim and Saul, they do this thing against Howard, which we don't know what it is. Then what? So to me, it's D for dumb.
Well, I would also say that it's really too bad because these episodes 1 and 2 of the season were pretty good, and I liked both of them. I gave them both like a B and a B plus or something, and so it is sad that the show has gotten trash again, because in those first 2 episodes, Kim was acting at her best in the whole series. And it doesn't even feel like she's really giving that evil performance anymore, because she's not really given any evil scenes to do anything evil. And I would say that's also kind of a failure, because that's something I was looking forward to at the beginning of this season with that second episode, was seeing more of her be evil. And then there was lots of scheming with both of them. But now it feels like we're out of the loop, and it feels like we're just playing catch up. Like every episode, we're just playing catch up to these very simple stories.
Oh yeah, you know what we have to say? They bring in the vet, and
Yeah.
the vet played a very prominent role. The veterinarian, okay, played a very prominent role in solving medical crises that happened during Breaking Bad, right? Or just Better Call Saul, but really
I can't
terrible
remember.
crisis where he'd have to help somebody, get better, and I mean,
Well,
anyway, and
the important thing with him was that he has this little black book with all these contacts in it.
But it's all in code.
Including the vacuum guy, the disappearing guy.
Yeah,
and so
I thought that was interesting.
That's what I was talking about when I was saying that this episode was a series of images. Because that I think that book was in Saul's house or whatever. Like that was one of the things. And so he definitely ends up getting it. So that's why they did that. Oh, wow. That little tiny... And see, that's one of the little tiny things I did like, but it's just not enough to say, like, yeah, this is an A+, because they showed the little black book.
Yeah. But then there was another thing about that, too. He was doing something for Jimmy
He was
that caused
giving
his
him...
pupils to get really enlarged.
And the reason why they're doing that is because they're going to drug Howard and make Howard look like he snorted cocaine.
Oh.
That's why they're doing it. And see, they're not telling you, though. It's like it's going to be a big surprise. It's like they're planning a surprise birthday party for you, and you don't want it.
Nah.
Because I don't want it.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think we're finished right now because there's nothing more to say.
Are you sure?
We both gave it a D, and Marco probably gave it worse than that almost. Like a D minus or something.
I had to because I'm just sick and tired of like grading all these episodes on a curve because I'm a fan of the earlier seasons.
And we're going to wrap it up, and we have later in the week, in a couple of days, we have MasterChef Junior.
And we have The Offer.
And The Offer, too. The Offer comes before MasterChef Junior.
And you know what? The Offer is way better than Saul right now.
Yeah, that's
unfortunately.
Amazing. So, if you like this audio, give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to our channel. We appreciate all subscribers. We invite your commentary. In fact, we'd like to hear what you thought about tonight's episode.
Oh, just please say that it had to happen that way. Everything had to. It was all. The writers had to do that.
I gotta go to bed.
Really?
So anyway, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.